In the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a mere 660 miles south of mainland Japan, lies a tiny island that would become the focal point of one of the bloodiest battles in American military history. Iwo Jima, a volcanic outcropping barely 5 miles long and 2 miles wide, was a seemingly insignificant speck on the map. Yet, this desolate island would witness the convergence of two titans of war, as the United States and Japan clashed in a maelstrom of fire and steel. The year was 1945, and the Allies were poised to deliver the final blow to the Japanese Empire. With the Philippines and Guam secured, the Americans set their sights on Iwo Jima, a strategic location that would provide a crucial airbase for fighter escorts and a safe haven for damaged bombers. The island's proximity to Japan made it an ideal staging ground for a potential invasion of the mainland. Little did the Americans know, however, that the Japanese had been secretly fortifying the island, transforming it into a formidable fortress that would exact a terrible toll on the invading forces. As the Americans began to set their sights on Iwo Jima, they were met with a daunting reality. The Japanese had been busy constructing a labyrinthine network of tunnels, bunkers, and pillboxes, carefully designed to maximize defensive capabilities. The island's volcanic terrain, once thought to be a hindrance, had been leveraged by the Japanese to create a formidable fortress, with hidden caves and camouflaged emplacements waiting to unleash a hail of steel upon the unsuspecting invaders. The Japanese garrison, comprised of over 22,000 soldiers, had been ordered to fight to the last man, and their commander, General Tadamaki Kuribayashi, had devised a strategy that would exact a terrible toll on the Americans. The island's defenses were a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare, designed to negate the American advantage in firepower and mobility. As the U.S. military planners pored over intelligence reports, they began to grasp the true extent of the challenge before them, a battle that would require a monumental effort in blood, sweat, and tears to capture a tiny island that seemed, at first glance, almost insignificant. To counter the Japanese defenses, the Americans devised a solution that would rely heavily on a combination of intense aerial and naval bombardment, followed by a massive amphibious assault. The plan, codenamed Operation Detachment, called for a sustained pounding of the island's defenses by the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, comprising 6 battleships, 5 cruisers, and numerous destroyers and escort carriers. This would be supplemented by a series of airstrikes, conducted by the U.S. Army Air Forces and the U.S. Marine Corps, aimed at weakening the Japanese garrison and destroying key defensive positions. The assault itself would be carried out by the V Amphibious Corps, consisting of the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions, who would land on the island's southeastern coast, near the town of Idzuma. The Marines would then push north, securing key terrain features, such as the island's 2 airfields, and gradually isolating the Japanese garrison. This multi-pronged approach was designed to overwhelm the Japanese defenses, leveraging the American superior firepower and mobility to break through the labyrinthine network of tunnels and bunkers. The naval component of Operation Detachment boasted unparalleled firepower, with the 6 battleships of the Fifth Fleet capable of unleashing a combined 144 guns, ranging from 14 to 16 inches in caliber, in a single broadside. These behemoths of the sea were supplemented by the fleet's cruisers and destroyers, which added hundreds of smaller guns to the arsenal. The aerial component was no less formidable, with waves of B-24 bombers and fighter aircraft poised to deliver a deluge of high explosives and incendiary munitions upon the Japanese defenses. Meanwhile, the Marines' amphibious assault craft, supported by an armada of LSTs, LSMs, and LCTs, would land over 70,000 troops, accompanied by hundreds of tanks, artillery pieces, and other armored vehicles, on the island's southeastern coast. This armada would provide the Marines with the necessary firepower and logistical support to blast their way through the Japanese defenses, utilizing a combination of flamethrower tanks, rocket artillery, and conventional infantry tactics to overcome the enemy's fortified positions. The sheer scale of this military endeavor was unprecedented, with the Americans committing an enormous amount of men, material, and firepower to the capture of a single, small island. As the Marines disembarked from their landing craft and waded through the surf, they were met with a maelstrom of artillery fire, small arms, and mortar rounds, as the Japanese defenders unleashed a withering barrage from their carefully prepared positions. The American solution to this formidable defensive network was the M4A3R3 Sherman tank, equipped with a flamethrower and supported by infantry and artillery, which was designed to blast through the Japanese strongpoints and clear a path for the advancing Marines. On the morning of February 19, a platoon of these flamethrower tanks, accompanied by a company of infantry, was tasked with reducing the Japanese defenses on the island's southwestern coast, near the village of Nishi. The tanks, dubbed Zippo tanks, moved forward in a slow and deliberate pace, their flamethrowers belching fire as they approached the Japanese positions. The infantry followed closely behind, taking cover behind the tanks as they advanced, and providing suppressive fire to keep the Japanese defenders pinned down. The effectiveness of the M4A3R3 Sherman tank, with its flamethrower and supporting infantry and artillery, proved to be a game-changer in the battle for Iwo Jima. As the Zippo tanks inched their way forward, their flamethrowers spewing fire and destruction, they were able to breach the Japanese defenses and clear a path for the advancing Marines. The tank's slow and deliberate pace allowed the infantry to follow closely behind, taking cover and providing suppressive fire to keep the Japanese defenders pinned down. The combination of the tank's firepower and the infantry's supporting fire proved to be a potent one, allowing the Americans to slowly but surely gain ground on the island. However, the tanks were not invincible, and several were lost to Japanese anti-tank fire and mines. Nevertheless, the Zippo tanks played a crucial role in the battle, allowing the Americans to overcome the Japanese defenses and ultimately secure the island. Despite their success, the tank's effectiveness was not without its limitations, and the Americans would continue to face fierce resistance from the Japanese defenders. The successful integration of the M4A3R3 Sherman tank, with its flamethrower and supporting infantry and artillery, into the battle for Iwo Jima had far-reaching implications for modern warfare. The effectiveness of this combined arms approach, where armor, infantry, and artillery worked together in a coordinated effort, proved that such a strategy could be the key to overcoming even the most formidable defenses. As the world watched, the battle for Iwo Jima became a demonstration of the power of technology and combined arms on the battlefield, showcasing the potential of armor and firepower to break through seemingly impenetrable defenses. The Zippo tank's performance on Iwo Jima would go on to influence the development of future armored vehicles and tactics, paving the way for the use of tanks in a variety of roles beyond simple infantry support. The implications of this were clear. In the face of increasingly sophisticated and fortified defenses, the integration of armor, infantry, and artillery would be crucial to success on the battlefield. The battle for Iwo Jima had set a new standard for combined arms warfare, one that would be studied and emulated for years to come. As the last pockets of Japanese resistance fell, and the stars and stripes were raised atop Mount Suribachi, the battle for Iwo Jima came to a close. The cost had been staggering. Nearly 26,000 American casualties, including over 6,800 dead, and more than 22,000 Japanese soldiers killed. Yet, in the face of such overwhelming loss, the strategic value of the island was undeniable. Iwo Jima's airfields would go on to provide a crucial staging ground for the eventual invasion of mainland Japan, and its capture marked a critical turning point in the Pacific theater. The battle for Iwo Jima had been a testament to the unyielding resolve of the American military, and a demonstration of the